Hi Abhishek. Hi Yamini. Hello Vignesh. Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this little session on getting to know yourself before marriage. Why do we get to know? Why do we need to know ourselves, before we tie the knot? I mean, yesterday was Valentine's Day, and I'm sure there were many couples out there, many young couples getting enjoying their relationship, lost in love, totally lost in the beauty of the moment. What happens a few years down the line? What happens once we tie the knot? Do we get all knotted up? Do we get, you know, I think, influenced by everything that is happening around us? Or have we been just putting on, a different mask in order to impress the one we love? If you've seen my post on LinkedIn, it very clearly says that unless you love yourself first, you cannot really love another because you don't really know what it is that you want to give. And so this session is going to focus on getting to know yourself and learning to love yourself first and foremost, so that every relationship that you get into, whether it is a marital relationship, whether it is a committed relationship, we understand what we really want out of that relationship and what we can really give in that relationship, right? So let's start with a very basic question. How well do I know myself? Is what I see in the mirror all that is about me? Is it the way I look, the way I carry myself, or is it my LinkedIn profile, or all my achievements, the things that I have done? Is that all that there is about me, or is there more? A very important facet of emotional intelligence is self-awareness. And when we look at self-awareness, there is so much more than just what is written in books, because that is something that you need to stop and sit and reflect for yourself to actually understand yourself. So when we look at self-awareness, what are we looking at? What are we talking about? We're talking about not just a SWOT analysis, of okay, my strengths, my weaknesses, and maybe the different kinds of opportunities that are available to me, the trials or the challenges that I face. No, it's beyond that. It's much beyond that. Some of you may be aware of the Johari window. You may have done this exercise before. If not, it is really worthwhile to look it up. The Johari window basically helps us to get feedback about ourselves from the people who matter the most to us. So this could be family, this would be our close friends, our siblings, our co-workers, people who interact with us on a daily basis. And you have the Johari, which actually helps you to find out, to learn more about all the strengths that you have. Yes. So there would be the strengths that you are aware of, but nobody else is aware of. So, for example, you may say, oh, I'm a very organized person. Maybe you've never really had the opportunity to share that, or display it out to others. Or I'm a very affectionate person, but maybe your people at work, your colleagues, your co-workers have not seen that side of you, and therefore they may not mark that as being important when you share it with them. There are those aspects of your personality which you may not be aware of, but others around you are aware of. See, something like it could be, okay, you are not aware of the fact that you are a positive influence on people. People look up to you as a role model, as a leader. And that is something that you would get probably as feedback from others, but you have not really thought about it. You stop and think like, is it really me? Is this me? There's also an overlap of both these areas. There are those areas which you know you are aware of, and which the people who you invite to do this exercise with you are also aware of, and that strengthens your understanding of your own strengths. And then there are so many strengths which are yet to be discovered. you know are you assertive as a person? Are you an independent person? Are you all these different things? And understanding yourself is the first step in moving ahead. Abhishek, I will come to your question, yeah, in a minute or two. So first is understanding yourself. And when you are aware of yourself, you're also getting aware of what do you really want. What is it that you are passionate about? What is it that you're concerned about? And what is it that drives you? What is it that motivates you? Okay. And when you're aware of all of these, answering, whether it is the family pressure or answering others, basically gets to be easier, because you are far more confident and aware that, okay, this is me. This is me. This is the way I am. And if I do not want to step into something, as here Abhishek has mentioned a particular, how do you handle family pressure of getting married? So if you are not at all interested, are you aware of why you are not interested? Are you aware of the fact that, you have maybe a timeline in your mind that you are following, that you would like to maybe make your parents or your family aware of? Is there any such thing? So, if there is a pressure, if there is a question at any point in time, it is good to stop, reflect, ask yourself, why is this? Why am I thinking this way? Why am I reacting this way to a particular thing? So one is this pressure. It could be, second would be, understanding of relationships. Okay, now what are these different relationships? How we look at relationships in general is a reflection of how we have looked at relationships in our own families. Okay, so whether it is, the relationship between your parents, if that has impacted you positively, you've learned really good lessons from there. You say, oh yes, this is something that I would like sometime in life to get into. If it has not, or it could be the relationships at home, it could be those with, friends, it could be also past trauma. There are many different things which will impact how you look at relationships and how you choose to move ahead in a relationship. And the key to all of this is understanding, what is it that triggers me? Who am I as a person? Why do I react or behave in a particular way? Why do I, like particular things, Why do I not like? How do you know that you are ready, Vignesh? Very simple. Ask yourself first and foremost, what do you want from that relationship? It is not a question of ठीक है शादी किया हो गया नहीं. That is the beginning of a beautiful new journey. Are you ready to step onto that journey? What is it that you seek from this relationship? And what is it that you are willing to give? Unless you have first given to yourself, unless you care about yourself, unless you accept yourself, you will not be able to accept or care for another. And although in our society, marriage is still in the hands of family, of elders, of community, society, काफी कुछ हम बीच में बोल नहीं सकते, right? In many cases. But how do you know that you are ready to step into this? How do you prepare yourself? One is understanding what you really want from yourself. What is it that you are passionate about? What is it that you are motivated towards, driven towards? And then what is it that you would like to give to your marriage? What is it that you can offer back to the person whom you are choosing to spend the rest of your life with? If you feel that, yes, right now I'm not ready to commit to any of this, कि मुझे अभी, I like my life the way it is, and I'm not going to really modify any of it, then you have a challenge on your hands. Okay, so for all those fantastic stories that say that nothing really changes, I would say stop and think, because every stage of life requires you to stop, think, understand what is demanded of you, and adapt according to that phase of life and move on. That is what helps you to flow through life. If you see a child, a baby, a newborn baby, knows nothing, is totally dependent on the parents, right? Once a child starts crawling around, the child learns that he or she has its own independence. Now, if the parent keeps saying, "Nay, you are not ready, you are not going to crawl," okay, or you are not going to have anything besides, milk, will the child really grow? The child won't grow, right? Because the child doesn't get what he really needs. He is not being allowed to move on and grow to the potential that he is capable of. That is one aspect, one perspective. The other perspective is, thinking, for example, that once, so there are a number of jokes and memes, all around on the internet about how you have, in not just Indian society, but otherwise also, Madam Belan ke saath khadi rehti hai ki, because the husband's coming home late, whatever. Or, the husband is sent out to do all the chores and, she's the dominating one. Or you have the other way around, that he would rather spend time with his friends in the bar or, out on a holiday. That is not reality. So do not allow everything else that is happening outside to actually influence your choices, to influence your timeline. Knowing when you are ready has to be a very personal decision. It has to come from inside. It has to come from an awareness of, as I said before, who are you as a person? What is it that you stand for? What are your values? If you are aware of these values and those values which matter most to you, ideally you would like those values to be reflected in the person you choose to be your partner. And if those values are not reflected, then that relationship is going to be on troubled waters very soon. Because the basic of everything, the most basic thing is sharing these values, right? Whatever values are important to you. So there may be different ways of looking at life. There are definitely different life experiences that you and your partner or potential partner would have. But if you have these values that bind you together, that you share in common, that is the base for understanding each other's perspective. That is a base for that communication. That is a base for learning more about each other. You may agree, you may not agree, but learning to respect another person's point of view is also basic in the way you actually reflect on yourself. Am I the kind of person who gives importance to self respect? If I am that kind of person, I will also give respect to the other person. Yes. So understanding accepting equality in a relationship is not just naam ke vaste. It is not something that you pay lip service to. It is reflected in all the decisions that you make as a couple. It is reflected in sharing of not just chores and responsibilities, but also sharing what is it that lifts up your spirits. What is it that brings you down? To be able to communicate on all these things, if you feel that you are ready to do all of this, to be vulnerable in front of another person, then yes, then you are moving towards actually being ready. I hope I've answered your question, Vignesh. Okay. How do you handle family pressures? Firstly, as I said, if you are aware of what you want, it gets easier to speak. If you say, I just don't want to get married, ask yourself. I'm not saying there's anything right or wrong. It is each one's personal experience. And I feel it's a beautiful experience. It's a beautiful journey. It's got its ups and downs. It's a roller coaster. What is life without that, right? So it is a beautiful journey. It is a beautiful challenge if you are willing to step into it. And if you feel that the pressure is so much कि करना ही है लेकिन मुझे नहीं करना है, you have reasons for it. How do you communicate these reasons to your family members? How do you talk to them about what is that is, signaling that you are not ready as yet? So whether it is that, okay, I need to, reach a particular level of financial security before I can commit to a relationship, or I need to be sure that this is what I really want in life before I can move ahead. Or कभी ऐसे कहते हैं ना कि अच्छा बहुत गुस्से वाला है बेटा, लेकिन शादी करेगा तो ठंडा हो जाएगा, और ठंडा नहीं हुआ तो वो गुस्सा किसी और पे निकालेगा, राइट? सो इज दैट इट? गुस्से वाला है तो what are your triggers? What is it that disturbs you? What is it that triggers you? And how do you handle that? If it is something, so there's nothing wrong with being angry. It is okay. It is a perfectly normal human emotion. But how do you process your anger? How do you display that anger? How do you handle it? So do you react to situations? Okay, kuch ho gaya, and so aise झट से we react, or do you stop and think about it, and you pause and you reflect and you respond? And that is also a sign of emotional intelligence. Being able to regulate your own emotions, being able to understand that, okay, this is something that I do not like. How do I bring it up? How do I discuss it? Whether it is with my parents or my siblings or my co workers, or finally with my potential partner or the person I'm already committed to, okay, my husband, my wife, in that relationship. So, how do you handle these issues? How do you, broach a subject which is very delicate? For example, say, so the expectation is always, in Indian society, शादी करने वाली है हो तो you go to see a girl, and लड़की खाना पका सकती है? Yes, no, क्या क्या? very important thing is, what are you looking out for in that relationship? Are you looking at only somebody who can cook? Are you looking out for someone who can share your joys and sorrows? Are you looking out for someone who is open and comfortable enough to share her own joys and sorrows with you? Are you looking at a friend, a partner, someone who you will enjoy traveling with on this roller coaster of life? So, if that clarity is there in your mind and you can communicate that clarity to your partner, okay, if you are already in a relationship, then yes, to your partner. If you're not yet in a relationship, then to a potential partner. You know, this is the way I look at things. This is my vision of life. Let me understand yours. It's not that this is the way I live my life and this is what you have to follow. No, there is no giving and taking over there. It is just my way or the highway. And that is where many problems arise. We, there are many people who say that, especially those with a very traditional outlook, would say that हमने लड़कियों को पढ़ाया लिखाया है, अभी everybody thinks that they know better. I would say to that, सब में, okay, whether it is a girl, whether it is a boy, everyone has, thanks to our country and all the other countries that are participating in understanding the equality of all human beings and accepting that, we all have a right to education, to a proper job, to proper equal opportunities. And in a marriage, those equal opportunities extend far beyond, because it is not just a job. I read a very beautiful post yesterday on LinkedIn itself, where somebody mentioned that, because it was Valentine's Day again, the greatest investment that you have is actually your investment into your spouse. And there were many comments that, Acha, how can you think of, investing in your spouse? ऐसे relationships ऐसे नहीं होते हैं, marriage ऐसा नहीं होता है, profit loss के बारे में नहीं होता है. And I was so tempted to respond over there, but I felt that, okay, I shall say that response for this talk, because it is an investment and it's not a question of profit and loss. If you are ready to invest of yourself, the person that you are, if you're ready to invest of your time, your energy, your, efforts, even your own vulnerabilities, if you're willing to open yourself up to the other person, to your partner, that is the beginning of a beautiful relationship. Okay, how do you know that this other person is not going to hurt you? Find out ki, acha, these are your weak points, and pick it up and then throw it on your face. ऐसे भी होता है. Yes, and I'm sure maybe some of you have gone through relationships like this, where it is not really worked out. Someone has taken advantage of your nature, of the fact that you have been really very positive and helpful and supportive and open. But that is, again, an experience to learn from. An experience from which you don't become bitter, but you help it to improve and become better. Okay, so in brief, I've spoken on getting to know yourself, being aware of your strengths and also your weaknesses. So ऐसे नहीं कहना है कि अच्छा, see, this is me, so you take it or leave it. मेरे से शादी करनी है तो ऐसे ही रहना है. I am not going to change. The moment you do that, you have already built a wall. Okay, and understanding also, ask yourself, why am I not ready to give in? Is this particular thing linked to my basic values? What are these values that mean so much to me that I am not willing to compromise on? And if they mean a lot to you, those particular values, and you're not ready to compromise on it, it should be respected by your partner as well. If it is not just values, but it is maybe particular behaviors, maybe particular habits, then are those habits really helping you? Are those behaviors really helping you, not just in this relationship, but overall? Are these habits and behaviors helping you to grow as a person, helping you to develop? What is it that you are learning from all of this about yourself? Each relationship teaches us something about ourselves, whether it is the relationship that we have with our parents, with our siblings, our brothers and sisters, in our extended families here in India. We have cousins, we have uncles and aunties and grandparents, right? मामा है, चाचा है, सब कुछ है, अलग अलग लोग हैं. So how do we actually build our relationships with all of these people, and what are we learning from them? What are these important values that we are learning, that we are ready to accept and help us to build a positive relationship with other people? And by other people here, I'm referring to significant people, the person who you would want to have an intimate relationship with, the person that you would want to spend the rest of your life with. So, are you ready for that? Are you ready to take that step? Are you ready to move on after getting to know what you are, your strengths, your shortcomings, and are you willing to work on those shortcomings? So if you know you're the kind of person who says, Acha, this is what I'm going to do and nothing more, whether you're a male or a female, are you ready somewhere to compromise? Are you ready to say, okay, fine, I have never done this before, but I'm ready to learn? ठीक है, मैंने कभी घर का ऐसा काम नहीं किया है, लेकिन हम साथ रहेंगे तो करना पड़ेगा, right? When you choose to build your own home, live in your own home, your own family, start your own family, are you willing to take on the responsibility of a family? Are you willing to do all of that? Are you willing to give unconditionally of your love and affection and your time? Or do you still want to have your own world aside from your spouse, where there is no meeting? Because when there is no meeting, then there is very little left of a relationship. Yes. So I would invite you, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to share and ask those questions. Any more questions anybody has? Okay. So either it was, very clear, or there just aren't any questions. So okay, since there are no more questions, I'm hoping that this very short session has been helpful, and it will help you when you choose to move ahead into a relationship, when you choose to take that step. And if you would like any more one-on-one sessions, you can look me up, and we can connect on LinkedIn. Yes, I'm Sharon D'Souza Preto. Have a nice day and have a lovely week ahead. Bye-bye.